Hey everyone, I'm Michael. I work for Marinade, the marketplace for Solana staking. To set some context, back in 21, Marinade pioneered the concept of liquid staking on Solana. 2 years ago in 23, Marinade launched a product called Marinade Native that allows you, with one click, to stake to multiple validators with no smart contract risk. And just last year, Marinade launched a product called Stake Auction Marketplace, a somewhat controversial topic. So today I'm here to talk about that subject, to tell you what we learned in that past year or so. So I'm going to talk about stake auctions on Solana, why we think there's a case for them, what is even stake auction, how that works, and again, what we learned to show the good case, the bad case, and the ugly case for stake auctions. So first of all, why did Marinade decide to launch the stake auction marketplace last year? And there are many reasons. One of them is to make Solana more resilient, more decentralized. If you look at Solana today, there might be 1,200 validators on the network. Well, not all are equal. Actually, if you look at them and you add up the biggest 20, you end up at 1/3 of all stake being staked, concentrated on those top 20 validators. The next third is another 60 validators. Okay, so you have 80 validators on Solana having 2/3 of all Solana stake, and that's what it takes to keep it running. While there are thousands of them literally fighting for enough stake for them to be profitable, to be running, and need some incentives behind it. But why it's concentrated? So one of the case was that because of the rewards are concentrated. And a year ago, we looked at the public-facing yield being consisted, okay, what's being shared with the delegators out of the commission rewards, out of the MEV tips. And even up until today, there are priority fees, for example, that are captured 100% by the validators. So priority fees alone have roughly 80 to 100 bips annualized of what is just kept on the validators today. And then you might think, okay, SIMD 1 to 3 comes and so on, and that's going to eliminate that gap. And then that will be shared back to stakers. And that might be, but we make a case why the delegation is just so untransparent. You never know, as a staker, what's the true yield for the validator out there. So you never know what's the true split of the yield between you, the delegator, and the validator. Because the stake, it has the staking rewards, it has the MEV tips, it has the priority fees, but on top of it, it has the governance, it has the reputation. The more stake you have as a validator, the higher you show up in the rankings. You can vote in the governance with it. There are just like many things to it, stake-weighted QoS, the deal flow, you name it. Many benefits to stake, which is why we felt like this cannot be represented really by just setting a commission on inflation or MEV tips. This could be represented by something else, and Solana is just not ready, and it cannot keep up in a protocol way to share everything back to stakers. And then finally, the stake concentration happens, and that's been running for years. The biggest Solana whales, the biggest Solana holders, have always found a way with the VIP validators on the market, and they would make agreements. They would make off-chain agreements and shake hands as I, a big whale, come to you as the validator, and I'll tell you, I'm only going to stake with you if you get your commission down. How about that? Because if you don't do it, there are other validators that are happy to do it. And that's been running for years, but off-chain, and only reserved for the VIP market, for the biggest whales and for the biggest validators. It's been like that. So we thought about that. This is an opportunity, and that's why a year ago, Marinade launched this concept of stake auction marketplace, allowing any validator and any staker to benefit from this open auction system. So let me show you how that works. The way it works is that all validators in the open can now set something that the system calls a bid. Just like in the Google AdWords system, imagine it like that. You as a validator are setting a bid, how much you're willing to pay in Sol for 1,000 staked Sol per epoch. So it's like a CPC almost kind of system where the validators are willing to bid. And then the system ranks them based on their inflation commission, the MEV commission, and then this bid, and combines these three parts into something that's called a max APY in this very table, and sorts them by who provides the best yield, and on the market in the open, as anyone can participate. So once again, it starts as a validator setting up a bond, which serves like a collateral that they are going to deliver on their promise. They need to have some sol with the system, otherwise they are not staked by Marinade. Because if they change commission or if they go offline, Marinade automatically slashes that bond to put it to the staker to guarantee 100% uptime. And of that very bond, the validator optionally can decide, OK, I'm willing to pay some extra for the privilege to be staked. That's the open auction. That's pretty much it. And then finally, Marinade goes from the highest bidders all the way down. The system works the last price auction, so that actually the last validator getting in the set sets the price for everyone above. And we put it there thinking that that will make validators set their true price and not try to game it. So what's the good, the bad, the ugly case for what we learned in the past year of running stake auction marketplace? The good is that now more than 300 validators are participating in it, and it delivers. It really delivers the best yield on the market. Just last epoch, we measured it, and annualized, it brings 50 bips higher of a staking yield than if you go to 0% fee commission validators on Solana. Just like showing that the system works. It's inclusive for all the validators and stakers, so that no matter how big you are as a staker, it doesn't matter if you don't have like hundreds of thousands of sol, you can still benefit from that. The same with the validator. You don't need to be the privileged enterprise validators to get the same deal and to get the stake flow. And then finally, the CPMP bids make sure that the validators know what they're bidding and they can control the cost. The bad is the last price inefficiency. As I was talking about, since the auction sets the price for everyone by the last guy participating, that means that actually some validators that can have higher profit on the stake are paying what the last guy is paying. So that technically, as you can see, there is like some money left on the table because the auction doesn't price it as efficiently as it might be. And redelegation latency, so that the stake moves around. So it's an interesting allocation problem, because for all the stake that you're moving from one validator to another, you are losing one epoch worth of rewards. So that while the auction constantly changes and you would like to allocate to the best validators at every single time as the auction recalculates, you need to think about how much of the stake you're moving. So actually, some of the problems are with inefficiencies of the system because it cannot move that fast. And for validators, it is highly competitive because for a new validator just getting in the system, it's very hard. And now to the ugly. Since, let's face it, let's be open, since it's an open market, it has challenges. It has challenges of any validator can participate in this, potentially allowing even the malicious validators running some malicious MEV strategies. And that's a thing that we've been looking at Marinade, how to solve it. At the end of the day, we feel like that multiple concurrent proposers or reducing latency is going to help with that dramatically. In the meantime, we feel like at least the system distributes some of the MEV back to the stakers, which is the only system right now running on Solana that allows to do that, to capture some of that MEV and put it back to stakers. And there was introduced in MIP9 a block list to tackle the sandwiching validators, but it's a cat and mouse game. You limit the validators. In the meantime, the new nodes can be spin up. So we feel like that down the road, there must be some in-protocol way how to tackle the issue. And we just cannot chase the malicious validators with an ongoing block list. So finally, I invite you all to join us to research, because there's been some good ideas coming from researchers, coming from the community, including the validators. So you can look at forum.marinade.finance when we're trying to tackle it. And to give you some alpha, it's going to be official announced tomorrow, but we feel like that the ultimate solution to that is like a KYC compliant list of validators, which is today at marinade.finance. You will find it, not to spoil the alpha. But from now on, you can decide, are you going to stake with the max yield, the open auction, or are we going to stake with some reputable, known, and publicly respected validators? Thank you very much for having me.